Hey guys, my name is Francisco Hernandez, and today I'm doing another episode in my Building the Shot series, which is a series where I break down everything I can about how a single photo of mine was created. In this case, I'm going to go over this image on the screen here of Shag from a recent workshop that I did over in York, Pennsylvania. I actually created two other photos over there in York, so in case you guys are interested in how I took these two photos that are on the screen now, then you can check out the links that will be in the description area below. The workshop was hosted by my friends Tim and Jen Orendorf of Orendorf Studios, so I want to say thank you to them for hosting that workshop and allowing me to take those great photos with those great models. One thing I will be doing from now on with my Building the Shot videos is separating how I took the shot with the editing part, because I feel like both of those things are very lengthy, so I don't want to make the videos too long. So the editing is actually quite a bit of time as well. So I will be separating this video into two parts, as well as these other two videos. I'll keep the editing separate from how I actually took the shot, because that is a bit of a complex process as well. Before I continue though, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Adorama. Adorama is an industry-leading retailer that has been serving photography, videography, and audio customers for almost 50 years now. Their motto is everyone is a creator, and they do their best to unleash that creator within us all by providing us with the tools and expertise necessary to get the job done. I personally shop at Adorama for both the great deals on products I use and recommend, but also the great customer service on those products as well. If you find yourself interested in any product that I talk about in today's video, you can check out the links that will be in the description area below to find links to those products, and be sure to use those links if you decide to order. Just before I go into Lightroom and show you guys the photos I took at this photo shoot and the thought process behind those photos, I do want to explain the gear a little bit first. I did use the Sony a7R III just because it's my favorite camera, and I used the Sigma Art 35 f1.2 because I did want a little bit more of the scenery in this shot, because I felt like that was something that was going to add to this photo instead of using something that would completely eliminate the background, like my Sigma Art 105 for example. So I wanted the 35 to really grab more of that scene. When it comes to the lighting, I used the Godox 8600 Pro, also known as the XPLOR 600 Pro, and that actually ended up being a great benefit to this photo shoot because I did need the fast recycle times that it provides at lower outputs, or just in general actually, because we were taking a lot of fast kind of rapid succession of shots. And the modifier that I used was the Joel Grimes Beauty Dish. I believe it's a 24-inch, which actually has one single layer of diffusion, and that was a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I usually have two diffusion panels on my modifiers all the time. Here on the screen is the first photo that I took of Shag, and you can see that there's no light on her. It's just completely natural light. But one thing that is a little different that influenced the natural light that's on her is that the sun was beaming very directly into like the sun, or not the sun, but the camera position. And it actually got also the beauty dish that we were using. So it kind of reflected a little bit of the light and added a little bit more light in the shadows that would normally not be there. I took this photo to show you guys how it looks like without any sort of light. And then I took this photo because I forgot to turn on my transmitter. But one thing I want to say before I continue with the rest of the photos is that I initially did want her to have that sweater on. It was a little bit cold that day, so it was not just like a prop or anything, but it was actually providing her warmth. But I didn't really like how it kind of clashed with the overall darker tones that I felt were more kind of like the fog vibes of this photo shoot. So eventually I do have her remove the sweater, but the first photos that I'm going to show you right now, they are with the sweater on, and then eventually take it off. But this is a photo without any light. This photo here is the light too bright, so I do end up lowering the output. Then with this next shot, I did actually reduce the output like I just said, and it provided a good exposure. But with this next photo, it is a little underexposed, and one reason why that is because I have my LCD brightness on my screen on my camera too bright, so it gives me a bit of a false reading of the exposure, and this image here looked fine and properly exposed. So I want to say for a good next chunk of these images, they are going to be at this exposure. So just try to keep that in mind. And one thing that was very much tricky was not necessarily getting a photo of her, because she was really good at modeling and providing good expressions. So once I got a photo with the good expression, then the tricky part was just capturing the leaves. And that was something that was very, very tricky that day. We were kind of learning as we go how to throw the leaves. Ashley threw some leaves, and some other workshop attendees that threw the leaves, like Ryan and Craig. And it was just a bit of a learning kind of trial and error kind of thing. So you're gonna see, I think I ended up liking this photo here, this expression and everything, and this pose. So then we start to throw the leaves, and then you can see that some of these shots, the light is not firing, because any light out there is going to have a certain speed that it needs to recycle and needs to wait so it can take another shot with the flash. And I do believe that the XPLOR 600 Pro is around 0.9 seconds, maybe something a little bit slower than that, maybe 1 second. But when you take a rapid succession of shots, you can get faster recycle times. Like the XPLOR 600 Pro is going to say, let's just say 1 second at full power. But if you shoot at a lower output, like 1/4, for example, or 1/8, I do believe we're like 1/4 4th at this photo shoot. But again, if you shoot at slower or lower outputs, then you get those faster recycle times. So instead of that 1 second, you might get something like half a second or even faster than that. In this case, I want to say we did get faster recycle times because of the lower outputs, but it wasn't going to be enough for every single shot. So that's why some shots, they don't have the light firing, some do and some don't. But I wanted to just clarify that in case you guys were wondering why every shot is not firing or every shot doesn't have the light firing. So there's a lot of those photos where the lights aren't firing, but then I decided, you know what, we got those different kind of shots of her, but I want to kind of focus on the posing now. So I think I took this shot and you can see that the output is a little bit brighter. Then in this next shot, you can see that her hair is a little bit more pushed towards the side. It's a little bit more sleeker, if that makes any sense. But I did really like that. And also from this shot here to this next one with the hair different, I think I was at a slightly lower angle and her expression was different too. So I really liked that. So then I was like, okay, let's just grab this shot here and then a different kind of photos with the leaves together. And one thing that was going to be very crucial to this overall end result was I knew going into this photo shoot, into this specific shot that we're taking, that I was going to composite the leaves together in Photoshop. So that was going to be something where I just needed to take a photo of her and then hopefully get good leaves falling, and then take other photos with leaves falling around just in case I wanted to add those leaves to my final shot, my winner shot. So after I took this photo here and I really liked it, then we added the leaves. And you can see again, there are going to be some photos with the light firing and the light not firing. The photos without the light firing, which are, you know, again, there's a lot of those with the light not firing, like this photo, for example, which it has a great leaf in this shot here that I do like on the left there, but the light isn't firing, the strobe. And because that happened, I wouldn't be able to add this leaf to my overall final shot because it wouldn't make sense, because the light should be hitting that leaf. And then if that happened, if the light fired and hit that leaf, then it would make sense into that final shot. But right now, without the light hitting that leaf, then it's not going to make sense. It's just a case of getting good leaves with light hitting the leaves and adding those into my final shot. I'm just going to bypass all these different photos. And then we finally get to without the sweater. And like I said before, I did really like this shot without the sweater on because it just kind of felt like the white was just clashing too much with all the darker tones. So I really didn't really want that. And another thing is I felt like without the sweater, because it was so bright, the sweater, that you could focus more on her face. So I felt like after I took this photo, I think it was after this photo, I took this one, and then that was with the leaves falling. And then I finally took this photo that I really liked with the expression and the pose and everything. And we also got a little bit of leaves there as well, but somebody's hand as well. So then it was just a matter of taking a lot of different rapid succession of shots. So I think at this point, I did change the speed of which I was taking the photos to the highest on my Sony a7 III. So it was like H+++ or something like that. Previously, I wasn't at that certain speed. I was at something like H. So it was fast, but not the fastest. So I wanted to explain that because you're gonna see all these different leaves falling. And thankfully the light did kind of recycle a pretty good amount for those different leaves. But then at this last tail end here, I took a lot of photos of just her without any leaves. So that was the case of those photos there. And immediately after I took this photo, which is the last one, I thought maybe I didn't get good leaves in those last shots. And just in case I didn't get good leaves, let's just have her stay warm with the sweater on, and I'll just take more photos with leaves falling. And in case I do like those leaves, then I can add them into my other shot without the sweater on. The only crucial error that I really made was that I actually, for some reason, I focused not on her, which should have been exactly the same focus point to easily add the leaves in these next series of photos into my other shot. But for some reason, I focused on the leaves and not on her. So it would be a little bit more of a challenge in case I really liked some of these leaves in the next shots, because the leaves are now going to be in focus compared to being out of focus and having a different depth of field in the other photo with her without the sweater on. So I'm just going to cycle through all these different last photos here so you can see all the different leaves that we got. And you can see the softbox is also more into the frame of the shot on the top right there. So I didn't think that was an issue because I felt like Generative Fill could have done a good job removing it. Lots of different photos with the leaves falling. And you can see that, again, more leaves. But I should have focused on her eyes, not on the leaves. And then after that, you can see the behind the scenes here. Here's the 600 Pro with the 24-inch Westcott Beauty Dish. That's the Joe Grimes version. And then here is a pulled back version of that behind the scenes. So you can see Craig there throwing some leaves, and you can see Tim is holding the light. He did have like a C-stand with just like a tennis ball at the bottom there. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, because that's a heavy setup. And he was definitely feeling it that day. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you want to see the editing portion of this video, then you can see the link that's going to be in the top right corner of the screen, as well in the description area below. I want to say one last thanks to Adorama for sponsoring this video, because when they do that, It allows me to keep making free content for you guys, so definitely check them out. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the very next video.